So, I've got quite the interesting story here, and it is actually quite hilarious because this isn't the first time this is happening. This is the second time in recently that this has happened, and that is CNN has been sued and they lost. If you guys remember, Uncle Trump sued what was that? I think it's ABC that George Stephanopoulos works for. And they were forced to pay up 16 million, I believe it was, and George Stephanopoulos had to pay up like $1 million as well out of his own pocket. So it is hilarious to see. Jury finds CNN committed defamation against Navy veterans. Settlement reached on punitive damages. Panama City, Florida. A jury found that CNN committed defamation against U.S. Navy veteran Zachary Young and is responsible for punitive damages on Friday after more than 8 hours of deliberation. The six-person jury ruled Young was awarded $4 million in lost earnings, and $1 million in personal damages, such as pain and suffering, and said that punitive damages are warranted against CNN. So there's potential for a lot more money here. Not just the $5 million. Like, on top of that $5 million, there's a potential for a lot more money that CNN may have to shell out here. And we're going to get into that here shortly. But as the jury was gearing up to determine punitive damages, 14th Judicial Circuit Court Judge William Henry announced that Young and CNN reached a settlement for the amount that would be awarded to the Navy veteran. The settlement amount was not, goodness gracious, the settlement amount was not disclosed. The settlement announcement came after an expert witness suggested $150 million was a fair amount to punish CNN. Young pledged that CNN smeared him by implying he illegally profited when helping people flee Afghanistan on the black market during the Biden administration's military withdrawal from the country in 2021. Young believes CNN destroyed his reputation and business by branding him an illegal profiteer who exploited desperate Afghans during a November 11th, 2021 report by Alex, I don't know how to pronounce that last name, that first aired on CNN's The Lead with Jake Tapper. Jake Tapper putting out that misinformation. The decision comes after 3+ years of litigation in a wild, sometimes chaotic 8-day trial. 14th Judicial Circuit Court Judge Henry, who presided over the trial in Bay County, Florida, previously ruled that Young did not act illegally or criminally, despite what the network reported on air. The verdict sent shockwaves through the courtroom. CNN said it will take useful lessons from the decision. They better take some useful lessons from that. Hey, listen, we obviously don't have word what they settled on, but they had to pay the $5 million, and there was another settlement beyond that. And as you saw there, the suggestion was $150 million, which I doubt that they had to shell out that much, but I wouldn't be surprised if he stood firm and said, I need 50 M's and nothing less. I need 50 million and nothing less. Otherwise, I don't accept this deal, and we gonna let the jury decide. And they probably are gonna decide 100 million plus. So y'all better come up with something. 50 million is the bottom line. I'm going to play a little bit of this entire situation inside the courtroom. Check this out.
I understand that the jury's reached a verdict. Is that correct?
Correct. Pardon me?
I said I understand you all have reached a verdict.
We have.
All right. You have the verdict form with you?
I do.
Can you hand that to the bailiff, please?
I will.
Ask the clerk to publish a verdict.
In the Circuit Court of the 14th Judicial Circuit in Bay County, Florida, case number 608CA Zachary Young plaintiff versus Cable News Network Inc. defendant. Verdict form number 1. Do you find by the greater weight of the evidence that defendant CNN committed defamation per se against plaintiff Zachary Young? Yes. Number 2, do you find by the greater weight of the evidence that defendant CNN committed defamation by implication against plaintiff Zachary Young? Yes. Number 3, what is the total amount of plaintiff Zachary Young's damages for both lost earnings in the past and for the loss of his earning capacity in the future, reduced by the amount that plaintiff could have earned from comparable employment? $4 million. Number 4, what is the total amount of plaintiff Zachary Young's damages for pain and suffering, mental anguish, inconvenience, injury to reputation, and loss of capacity for the enjoyment of life that he sustained in the past and that he has sustained for the future? $1 million.
So yeah, you heard a little bit of that there. Here is CNN's lawyer making a little bit of an argument.
There's no evidence that this was intentional. If it was in the complaint, we would have produced it. If Mr. Friedman had said at any point, hey, there's another teaser we know about, will you produce it? We would have gone back and looked for it. We didn't know about it. And by the way, all this is a very transparent attempt to create some fake equivalency from this plaintiff who purposely destroyed documents to what CNN did. And there's no equivalency. We have on a public website, there's a transcript from 4 to 5 o'clock, that if you knew what you were looking for, you could have found it. We just didn't know it was there.
And I feel like I'm in Alice in Wonderland. I mean, CNN didn't know about its own videos. It's news to CNN that they created these videos. We are at fault for not realizing that they failed to comply with basic discovery obligations.
This is obviously the other guy's lawyer.
We shouldn't have to audit CNN's websites or its transcripts to make sure that they're complying with basic discovery requests. Judge, this is like Alice in Wonderland, what's going on here. Their obligations, their breach, their failure to produce, somehow it's my fault.
We're in Alice in Wonderland. I don't know which character everybody is.
Oh man, I don't know about y'all, but I love hearing about news like this. I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. So more about this is that CNN's lawyer, David Axelrod, in the current defamation lawsuit has said CNN's net worth has been in a gradual decline and asked the jury not to punish CNN when deciding punitive damages. CNN's revenue went from $2.2 billion in 2021 and has dropped to $1.8 billion as of 2023. So, I mean, if that continues, I mean, they're at a $1.4 billion evaluation now that it's 2025. So, yeah, steady decline. And I wouldn't even buy it if I had the money for $1.4 billion. Give me a price of $250,000. I mean, seriously, because you're literally going to have to rebuild this entire network from the ground up, its entire reputation. You're probably going to have to get a completely different logo. You're really going to have to change a whole lot. And you're basically starting brand new. So I gave you a little something, right? $250,000, I think is a fair amount because, like I said, you got to start over. They currently make about $4.9 million a day, which is crazy to me. I don't understand how they make $5 million a day at CNN. Like what? Yeah, I don't know, man. That's just crazy. That is just crazy. But here's CNN's lawyer basically begging them to just leave them alone.
You heard General Young, plaintiff's expert, testify, and he kind of made this offhand comment, and I thought it was very interesting. He said he was watching the coverage of the wildfires in Los Angeles, which are really heartbreaking. And he said that CNN's coverage was outstanding. And he wasn't wrong. Because when natural disasters break out, CNN is there. And that's hurricanes, that's wildfires, that's earthquakes. When conflicts erupt, like some of the ones we've heard in this case, CNN's there. And providing all of that content, that really important content's expensive. But it has a really tremendous value. because we as Americans need to understand what our fellow Americans are going through if they're in California, or if they're on the Gulf Coast and get hit by a hurricane, or if there's an earthquake in Northern California, or if there's a war in Ukraine. All those things are really valuable. So you've made a decision that CNN's liable, but that doesn't mean that there isn't, a reasonable path forward. So over the next few hours, I hope it doesn't take that long, you're going to hear about CNN's net worth. And you're going to see that the net worth of the company is actually in a subtle decline. You're also going to hear about the headwinds facing the entire media environment. Media is changing really quickly. You're going to hear some of the details about that. CNN still is a valuable asset because of what it does, because of that important information that it delivers. But there are really big challenges that it faces. And you're going to hear that for that reason, almost any amount of punitive damages, and even your verdict right now, will serve as a real punishment. And I'm not coming here to tell you that what you all have done should be the end. You've decided that punitive damages are warranted, so I'm not going to tell you that some number isn't warranted. But I am going to tell you that your judgment has an effect.
Yeah. So basically begging them to not go through with the 100 million or the 150 million that was suggested. Actually, and I think his lawyer, the other guy's lawyer, let me get this guy's name correctly because I forgot his name. I believe his name is Alex. Let's see here. What was that guy's name? Zachary. Where did I get Alex from? What in the world? Zachary Young is the Navy veteran. I believe his lawyer had suggested at one point $1 billion. Just to really tank CNN, man. I would have loved that. But I do think this is necessary sometimes because these networks have just gone way too far with the propaganda. Way too far. I mean, just spewing out BS. Joy Reid all but said that Trump stole this past election. Yeah, I mean, she legitimately, she didn't say it, right? But she suggested it in a way. And maybe I'll make a video on that because, this stuff has just gone way too far. And I'm happy. And I think the reason why she didn't say it was because she didn't want to be sued. But the woman had said, hey, if you believe this is true, then don't say anything. And Joy Reid just sat there and didn't say anything. And then the woman was like, gotcha. Okay. Not like gotcha is in like a gotcha moment, but I understand. And Joy Reid kind of chuckled and laughed a little bit and, they carried on. But yeah, that's the type of stuff that I'm talking about. Trump stole the election from Kamala? Really? Talk about far-fetched conspiracy theories. Man, is that one. But yeah, I do think stuff like this will begin to rein back in our mainstream media that has gone way too far. And you heard the guy there, the lawyer for CNN, say that the media landscape is changing. And yeah, it is. And it's all because of mainstream media. If mainstream media had remained honest and didn't push out propaganda and defame people, like George Stephanopoulos had to settle a lawsuit with Trump. Now you got CNN, right? If they just told the honest truth, channels like mine wouldn't exist. And they wouldn't have to worry about stuff like people like myself, right? Because people would still be watching the television to get all of their information. But instead, they force people to come to watch folks like myself. That's why the media landscape, that's why I think he said the media landscape is changing. And it's because it is. A lot of people watch independent media rather than mainstream media. And also we saw that play out in this past election. How many times did they say Kamala great, and Trump is the worst thing ever? They constantly push that narrative. Constantly. Whatever Kamala did, Joy Reid said she ran a flawless campaign. Even after figuring out that Kamala had lost the election, she was like, that her losing still doesn't change the fact that she ran a flawless campaign. I'm like, bro, what are you talking about? Like, just say she was garbage. Just say that. Because that's the truth. But no, they can't do that. They can't do that on mainstream media. But of course, it doesn't matter anymore because people don't pay attention to it. People do not pay attention to it anymore, and that's the reason why people like Joy Reid and Rachel Maddow are having to take pay cuts, and people are being cut and laid off here, there, and everywhere on mainstream media because they're losing money. And you saw it in the evaluations. They're losing what was that, 200 million? Where I don't know. I don't remember where that was, but their evaluation is going down every single year, continuing to drop. And I would guess that right after this election, it took a complete nosedive because you saw the ratings, absolutely tank following this past election. People just aren't tuning in anymore at all to mainstream media. And it's a shame. It really is. But I guess I can't complain because it brings more folks right on over here to me. So shout out to all of you, all 1.6 million of you. Greatly appreciate you all. And let's get to 2 million then. Let's become the new, I don't want to say, I was going to say let's become the new CNN, but no, let's not do that. Let's take CNN's place, okay? Let's take CNN's place. Let's do that. All right? Stay safe out there. Peace and love. I'm out.